Yes. Thank you.
Hello all, I'm Ásta or Ásthildur Jónsdóttir, this very smooth name, but I'm always called Ásta, and I'm happy to share the session today about the ABCDE project. The ABCDE project stands for Artists and Botanic Gardens Creating and Developing Educational Innovation. So what we will be doing today is that me and Patsey, we will tell you a little bit about the project and how it started, and then we will have participants from each country, participating country, tell about their part in the project, and then we will have discussions afterwards. So the reason why I started this project was that I had been working with the Botanic Garden in Reykjavik for several years when I was assistant professor at the Iceland University of the Arts in the teachers department. And then I took my students out in the Botanic Garden and they worked with the local school for a whole week and developed experimental learning, which was interdisciplinary. And the teachers, in-service teachers, many of them told me, oh, just if I would have this chance to get a course in how to do this is so informative for me. And then I thought to myself, of course, we need continuous educational opportunities for teachers. So me and Björk, the educational director at the Reykjavik Botanic Garden, we decided to set up a grant application for the Erasmus Plus project. And we reached out to our colleagues, and Björk had a very successful collaboration with the Botanic Garden in Dublin, and also with the Botanic Garden in Vilnius, Lithuania. So those were the first approach the gardens, and we had then 3 teams to work with us, at the Iceland University of the Arts. That was kind of the project directors of the project. Then I thought to myself, who would be the best to help me to find good art educators to work from each country? And then InSEA came in. So I approached Glenn Coates and he appointed Patsey. What a fantastic match. So it was match made in heaven. It's so great to find like-minded persons to work with and to be able to, together we kind of in each place in collaboration with the botanical gardens, we found 3 artists from each location that would create workshops along with scientists. So it was interdisciplinary workshops that was aiming to create a fruitful learning experiences with 3 themes connected to sustainability, and it were the themes on water, biodiversity, and soil. And of course, we needed schools to collaborate with, and we found in connection to the in collaboration with the botanical gardens, we found 3 wonderful schools, and that are all located relatively close to the botanic gardens, and all of them had experience working with the botanic garden. But why should we create continuous educational experiences for teachers? And Patsey is going to tell you a little bit about that.
Okay, firstly, I need to thank Ásta and Glenn. Glenn sort of said to me, there's a project come in and I'm really, really busy, but it was a complete setup because he wanted me to work with Ásta, and I have to thank him for that. It turns out that continuous professional development is my research area. So when I went to the first workshop in Iceland, I thought I was just going to represent InSEA at one of the workshops, and then I became part of the project as well. So it was fantastic to work with the teachers, with the artists, and with the scientists, and with Ásta and the team. So In terms of continuous professional development, there's lots of reasons why this interdisciplinary approach is so important in our lives. It equips teachers with the relevant skills and knowledge, and in each country, the themes are actually in the curricula. So it was a great way to look at the themes and to work together. It ensures that teachers stay updated on the latest sustainability research, policies and practice. And it was great to meet with teachers from different countries and artists and scientists and to look at how these themes were being developed within their own curricula. Climate change, biodiversity loss and resource management are dynamic fields requiring educators to adapt their teaching strategies. And sometimes teachers are a little bit reticent about that, but this was a really good way for them to expand their knowledge and, but what was really important, share their knowledge with each other. Continuing professional development in this case promoted a whole school approach. In the schools, there was different policies, whether the same teachers were going to take part in the workshops, or in different cases there was going to be different teachers taking part. But the whole point of it was that they would go back to the teachers within their school and share the knowledge that they had gained and on the particular workshops. So education for sustainability encourages a holistic approach, and this is what the project was looking at, integrating sustainability into all aspects of school culture, the curriculum, campus operations and community outreach. And you're going to see from the talk today from the teacher how that was developed. It encourages interdisciplinary teaching, and this is something that some teachers are a little bit scared of. Sustainability issues are inherently interdisciplinary. They combine science, social studies, ethics, and economics. And the aim of the workshops was to break down subject silos and engage participants in creative and critical thinking about complex global challenges. And having teachers from the 3 different countries with 3 different climates, or similar at times, a lot of rain in Iceland, a lot of rain in Ireland. This was a really good way to look at that. We also aligned with UNESCO's goal of fostering systems thinking through education. So we addressed global challenges locally. Sustainability education helped to connect global issues to local contexts, empowering teachers to tailor their teaching to their own communities. And working in the botanical gardens in each country equipped the teachers with up-to-date knowledge connected to students' everyday lives. And the teachers brought the children to the gardens, and it was real to them. The continuous professional development aspect of this project supported active and engaged citizenship. And through continuous education, teachers gain tools to nurture students as active participants in sustainable development. This includes teaching the skills needed to access sustainability challenges critically and creatively, and discussing how we make ethical decisions and taking practical steps towards a sustainable future was very evident in the work that was undertaken. Another aspect would be mitigating eco-anxiety. And I think a lot of people have this at the moment. And this professional development workshop series helps the teachers address the emotional aspects of sustainability education, such as eco-anxiety or feelings of helplessness. And I'm sure, given the recent changes and drastic changes in particularly in the weather, a lot of people are suffering from this eco-anxiety. In the workshops, we discussed how to create a balanced narrative that highlighted both the challenges and the opportunities for sustainable action. We also aligned with national and global goals. Many governments and organisations have made education for sustainability a priority. It's actually a national priority in Ireland. The workshops helped the participants to be better equipped to approach these mandates, contributing to global effects to combat climate change and promote sustainable development. So as you can see, they were very worthwhile. And I think that when you listen to what the artists did with the teachers, and then when you listen to Angus talk about how it impacted on his particular school, you're going to see that I think this project achieved the goals that ASTA set out initially, because it is ASTA's project. I came in just as an observer, but a very happy observer. Thank you.
I'm going to show you quickly the framework that we worked from. So Stan Kosek and Susan Elliott have created a fantastic framework for teachers to work from, and it's called Connecting the Dots. And this is a framework that I introduced to all the artist and scientist pairs that we created. So we had 3 workshops in each country. And in each workshop, we invited always the same core group from those 3 schools, but we also invited local teachers to come to participate. And when this is kind of the overall framework, but I encourage you to look into this. This is very useful when organizing a workshop on how to prepare citizenship and sustainability. And we focused on inquiry-based learning with integrated learning. We're using the learning, the botanical garden as a learning source, possibility as learning locally, using the community as the classroom. As we had 3 different workshops in each location, we approached each subject from alternative perspectives, and we could consider different ways to look at different subjects regarding sustainability. And we were working with real-world connections, and the teachers and the scientists and the artists collaboratively learned together, helping them to see how they could change the role from a banking approach with the students into being more as a peer learner with the students themselves. And that leads to acting on learnings, which is the ultimate goal of sustainable education, where action competence is the output, and there it's easily applied by using learning locally focuses. I'm gonna show you quickly the web page of the project. Here you see the web page, and it is in 4 different languages. It's in all the.
Sorry, Asta, we can't see the web page.
Oh, okay. So it is not. Okay, let's see why that doesn't appear. Can you see it now? Okay, perfect. So the web page is in 4 different languages. The English that unites all the 3 countries, and then our local languages. So by pressing on the links, we see then 3 different lesson plans. And in Iceland, we created 3 workshops. So we had Gunndís and Mariana that are going to introduce their workshop from Iceland. But then we also had, would you tell about the Irish team, Patsey? The water stop motions?
So we had Leanne Mullen and Mark O'Callaghan. Do you want me? What they did was they worked with looking at stop motion and the effects of water in a variety of different projects using digital means. And then Leanne took water from its liquid form into its solid form by freezing it and then making wonderful images. They took photographs of this and then using also the water as it melted and its effect on other forms. You'll see lovely patterns. All of the objects that we used were found within the botanic gardens themselves. We didn't pick anything off trees. They were found on, or plants, they were found on the ground, and she integrated them into the project itself. So here you can see images of the teachers working collaboratively, and with very, very simple how would you say, materials. So because we were very aware that some schools don't have an awful lot of technology, other schools do. So we actually made use of what we found within the Botanic Gardens, and any of the lesson plans that were created could actually be reproduced in any particular school.
And then we also, for the next day, we had a cyana print with Dovil and Darius from Lithuania, and kind of looking at the role of water in plants' life and also the role of water in cyan prints. But now I give the floor to Gunndís and Mariana. Sorry.
Thank you. I think Gunndís is going to be sharing our slides here, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh. Sorry, I've been talking and no sound. So I'm going to share the slides, if you bear with me.
Down below, yeah. You could actually, yeah.
Okay, and you can see the slides?
And we can see the notes also, yep.
You can see the notes also. How do I do this?
Let's see.
You can just press the button below, you know, next to the,
Yeah, right there,
have it
yeah.
like this. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then I do not see the notes.
No.
Can you help me with that?
Oh,
I don't think on Zoom it is possible to see the notes, so it's always a mirror of your
Okay.
screen.
Yeah, you can only see the notes if you have a second screen attached.
Oh.
But if you have your presentation on, say, a tablet, you could open it on the tablet with your notes on. That's the only thing I can
Or
see.
do you want me to share the slides and then you can have the...
That would be great. I'm really sorry about this.
Worry.
Let me see, I'm just going to open them. But you can start by introducing yourself when I'm open.
Yes, I will start by doing that. My name is Gunndís Finnbogadóttir, and I'm a visual artist and associate professor at the Department of Art Education at the Iceland University of the Arts. And I'm also a PhD candidate at the University of Iceland at the Faculty of, at the School of Education. And my research interests include outdoor environmental arts education in higher education, walking, and immersive pedagogies. And with me is my colleague, Mariana Tamayo, who is an ecologist, and she's an associate professor at the Environment and Natural Resource Program at the University of Iceland, and her research focuses on conservation biology, invasive species, plant-insect interaction, and urban biodiversity. And I hope that's okay, Mariana.
it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
And I think speaking for both of us, we would like to give our thanks to Ásta and Patsey and the ABCDE project, and also all the wonderful people working at the Reykjavik Botanic Garden and the participants in the workshops who were really open and willing to engage. So we are very thankful for that. And I have to say, it's really nice to revisit this project. So thank you. Yeah, so just if you can switch the slide, then you have this.
Okay, so I'm going to take you to our journey of our workshops. So we started the workshops with groups of elementary school teachers, as Ásta mentioned. And we met at one of the greenhouses at the Reykjavik Botanic Garden. And basically, we would gather around, present ourselves, and then do a short mindfulness exercise just to kind of relax, open our minds a little bit. And we started the journey, the water journey, by doing a water tasting. So we actually brought water from 3 different locations. One location was where the water filtered through the lava before it came out in our water faucet. Another location, which was actually in Gunndís's hometown, the water starts in the lakes and then kind of works its way through the streams and it comes out in the faucet. And then Gunndís brought, I call it magic water. It was water from this remote stream in the northwest of Iceland. And so the teachers got to taste these different waters and kind of assess how they liked them, if they thought yeah, if they could find any differences, and also think a little bit about where water comes from. And you can do the next slide, please. So from there, we then moved outdoors. And as we left the greenhouses, there were these incredible compost piles from the Botanic Garden. And they were amazing because you could literally, basically smell, feel, and see the composition happening in front of you. And also water is important for this because you do need water for kind of get that process going as well. And so, of course, students or the participants were smelling this and kind of getting all these reactions. And then as we continued walking and came around the corner, we encountered these beautiful sweet peas, which were in bloom. And again, we were smelling them. And it was sort of like the smell of summer, sweet summer there. And it was really important to have these sensory exercises because it really kind of activated our different senses, not just thinking about what we see, but what we smell, what we hear. So really trying to be very present with our surroundings. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe it's also nice to go from there to a little bit the thought of when we started developing the workshop, because when Ásta approached us, we started having our meetings in the botanical garden, and we met there regularly and worked in this beautiful greenhouse there. And we just started sharing what we thought was interesting and connected water in this valley of Laugardalur, where the garden is located, and also the school that collaborates in the project. And we also thought like how to translate this to a kind of bigger world that we are part of. And that is where this idea of bodies of water came from. And this idea that we are indeed, all of us here, bodies of water. We are sitting across different countries, but still that is something that we all share, and also part of how we connect to the world around us. And kind of like Neymanis has invited us to kind of think through entanglement and yeah, water connections. And yeah, and we also thought about maybe linking to what Mariana was showing us about the sweet peas, about this important link to well-being and this possibility to experience wonder, like Kristjánsson and Schinkel have written about, and how wonder can open our minds and bodies to complex layers of the world, and how experiencing it can be a combined feeling of bafflement and awe, and and kind of direct our attention to certain things. And then to this image that we have here, with all the groups, we visited this water sculpture by the Icelandic artist Rúri, and it is a prominent feature in the garden from 1995. So that was a kind of great way to start. And there we presented each group with a gift. And we gave them a big ice block, which was about 70 centimeters by 50 by 40. And we talked there also about the rings of Saturn and how they are made of big pieces of ice and rocks. And we also discussed the work of Francis Alice, an artist and architect, and this work of his from 1997, where he pushed a block of ice through Mexico City for 9 hours. And the aim of this gift was to kind of create water relationship and also kind of initiate some fun interaction, which really happened. And maybe you can go to the next slide, please. And during this ice block activity, the participants collaborated in unexpected manners, and they supported each other, and we had fun moments, and they were able to share this gift that we gave to them. And as teachers, we were surprised how each group in these 3 days interacted and approached the gift in different ways. One group recreated Alice's piece and pushed it throughout the day, testing its ergonomics and surfaces of the botanical garden. So it went really fast on the grass and slowly on the gravel. And another made a musical interaction and explored rhythms of the water drops. And the third group focused on more tactile discoveries and recorded videos from it. And I think the ice block like this can create spaces for different desires and participant preferences. So you can go to the next one, please.
And so we continued that journey through the botanical garden, and very close to the botanical garden, there's the National Football Stadium. We're really lucky to have that. And we had the opportunity to actually visit the stadium, go in there, and it has this huge grass field, which is quite unusual because nowadays a lot of them, they're from synthetic grass. But no, this is a really old grass field. And you can see here the participants, they were basically experiencing the grass, smelling it, touching it, walking around and just checking things. And as we were doing this, we were kind of thinking a little bit about biodiversity. We got also nature-based solutions a bit in urban areas, and we got actually to learn about the very intensive lawn regime that they use to keep this grass so green. They in the summertime they'll mow it every 1 or 2 days. They're really careful about fertilizing, adding all this water, and so it's really intensive. And we also learned that there's the water pipes of the city actually go right underneath the field, so that in the wintertime, when most of the field is dormant, the grass is kind of falling asleep for the field. You can see the length of the water pipes where the grass still remains green. It's really incredible. And so the participants just basically kind of got to experience this space. And what was interesting, if you go to the next slide, please. Um, we were really surprised how many different plants you found in the grass field. It was incredible. It wasn't just grass. We were finding clovers and dandelions. We even found mushrooms as well. So that was quite very eye-opening, because despite that they had this very intensive lawn care system, biodiversity was still thriving there. So one of the things that we wanted to do also while we were there, do another mindfulness exercise so that we could be present in the space, but also open the opportunities of imagining other possibilities. What could we envision the space to be? And we actually talked about the work of Klaus Lindman, a Swiss artist, who in 2019 planted 300 trees, live trees, in a football stadium in Austria. It was incredible, and it lasted for several months. And so we were kind of talking about these ideas, and it brought a lot of wonder and curiosity from the participants because it was such a transformation of that space. And so we were asking them what other possibilities could they envision for this space? What were their thoughts and how they felt about those possibilities. The next one.
And then returning to the Botanic Garden after lunch, we talked also about the Laugardalur Valley again and talked about the water in it as a former wetland and how the water that we were kind of standing on also can make it difficult to grow certain plants. And we had some exercise where the participant could actually feel with their bodies the water underneath. So we were kind of jumping on it and feeling the sponginess, which was quite nice. And in the afternoon, we gathered in the area where you can see now on the image. It's a part of the garden that has conifer trees, and it is maybe the wildest part of the garden. And we invited the participants to choose a tree to lay underneath. And everyone was welcome to also adjust their comfort. So if they wanted and preferred sitting or standing, we just encouraged them to be as close as possible to the tree and with the tree behind them. And they placed paper on their chest and without looking at it, and they took turns in drawing, seeing, listening, and smelling the surroundings. And drew the tree. And this exercise was about drawing through sensing and sensing through drawing. And the goal was to feel and connect with the place rather than creating an accurate representation. And we did this twice with them for 10 minutes, and then we reflected on it. And one could say that the participant reflected on a kind of whole ecosystem and were able to notice things and details that they wouldn't have if they were just walking past it. And next, please, Ásta.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And in the rest of the afternoon, we worked in and around the nursery greenhouse in the garden, and we talked about nature-based solutions, and we experimented with water and substrates. And we used, like you see on the first image there to the left, we used asphalt as substrate, mulch, and soil. And we played with filtration and colored water, and we created watercolor images and artworks. And in this part of the workshop, time kind of seemed to pass slowly, and there was a good workflow. And we kind of, you can go to the next slide, please. And we realized that this part could have stayed for a longer time because it was very kind of mindful and creative flow, like I said. And our participants went also outside, got some materials from the ground, leaves that had fallen or more of soil. Yeah. So you could go to the next one, please.
Oops. The previous one, please.
Oh, yeah, they went. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Yeah, and so then this was towards the end of the workshop. And so we ended up trying to, again, remind ourselves that water is life. As you can see here in this slide, where we can see a red bean just being exposed to water, and within a short time, it just wakes up and it germinates. And basically that's kind of the theme that we were talking about. How water is so important to get these little packets of dormant energy sprouting out. And I think participants were really surprised how quickly it happens, just within 4 hours of soaking the beans in water, you're already getting the seed opening up, and you kind of see the transformation. And other things that we discussed with this, we even discussed some experiments done by NASA researchers, where they collected, they had rocks that were brought from the lunar expeditions, and they grounded them and then created, I call it lunar soil. So it's not really soil, but it looks like soil. And they try to grow seeds of theocress. It's just like an herb plant. Added a little bit of water and see if they germinated. And they actually germinated too. So that was kind of incredible to see that again. That connection is not only here on Earth, but also outer space. And we also kind of talked about, as we were playing with the water, the soil, and looking at filtration, how it is so important to interact with the soil, because we're breathing, as we interact with this, we're breathing the soil a little bit, and there's bacteria in the soil. Specifically, they're known as Mycobacterium vaccae. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And these bacteria basically, they trigger the brain to produce serotonin. So you feel really happy. So again, it's this whole connection of kind of doing gardening, playing with the soil, with water, the seeds, and kind of bringing that together. And if you go to the next slide, please. This is a very simple thing to do, just using regular beans, a little bit of water, and then we soaked those seeds. It was I just had them for less than 24 hours, and you can already see them on the right. They're actually germinating there, and so simple to do. So I think at this point, shall we share some of our maybe if we have time, some of our experiences or what we
You
found
have
out with this?
actually gone 20 minutes, so
Oh no, okay, we're done.
you
Sorry.
just have to do it quickly, but you can wrap it up with
Okay.
Yeah, I think what sort of we have talked about after this, after developing this, is how we experience the significance of like working interdisciplinary, and also these regular meetings that we had were kind of driving the work, and we are both quite interested in how one can learn from a place, and that the activities kind of came from the place and these areas. And then maybe just quickly tell a little bit that after this we have also gained a lot, and further developed our collaboration, and we have taught another workshop for teachers of Reykjavik, a whole day workshop about local environments through art and science.
Yeah.
and
I would say
you have written an article, isn't it, for InSEA that hopefully will come out soon.
Yeah.
we're crossing our fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say the last little thing, and I won't take any more. I think that the big take-home message was creating the space to be able to slow down, be a little bit flexible, and also just be able to chat. I think that was really important, not only as teachers, but also for the students as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a great presentation. Thank you very much. So COVID hit, and we kind of had to wait a little bit with our next workshop, but the teachers were all using the activities from the Reykjavik Botanical Garden project. And then finally we were able to meet again in Vilnius, Lithuania, where we were working with with biodiversity. And Greta Kardi is going to tell us about her project, Web Alive. But what we also did there, and I encourage you to look at on the webpage, we looked at how we could do nature mapping and working from maps. And we also looked at interconnection and how everything in the world is interconnected and how one thing leads to another in terms of biodiversity. But I'm going to give the floor to Greta Kardi, please.
Hello, I try sharing my presentation.
And Greta, she collaborated with Darius, a local.
You can you see
Okay, there you are.
You see my
yeah. But you can press this. No, now you went out again.
Windows sharing. Share. You see?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Anatas Greta Kardi from Lithuania. I'm a contemporary artist, master of visual arts, textile profile. I'm studied at Vilnius Academy of Arts Kaunas faculty and participated in exhibitions since 1999. At the same time, I'm professional graphic designer. For the last 10 years, since 2014, I have been immersed in the land art. My land art method is sticking ground with wooden sticks, like embroidering. Usually my galleries are nature. I create my installations in open air. Like you understand, my artistic material are wooden barbecue sticks. You can show my land art installation. This is in Italy, Portugal, Madrid, France, Sweden, and newest installation in France. So I'm really appreciate and really happy then. What? I'm really appreciate and really happy then 2022 I was invited to very interesting project that brought us all together, ABCDE, to conduct the land art workshop on the topic biodiversity. Thank you so much for including me for this, Asta and Ida. I'm very thankful and appreciate it that I have possibility to share my land art method with wooden sticks. I conducted this workshop in cooperation with scientist Darius Ryliškis. It was very interesting to me because Darius presented biodiversity theme from the scientist side because he is scientist and biologist, and I presented biodiversity from the art side. It was a very interesting experience. We have 3 seminars and 3 workshops. In the seminars, we talk about what is land art. It is talk about land art and we had 3 separate groups of teachers of the topic of biodiversity. The name our workshop, The Web of Life. In this workshop, we had 3 simple symbols of the web of life: a leaf, worm, and bird. Leaf, worm, bird. Usually a process should be longer walking and observe in the nature, collecting leaves, meditate, photographing insects or worms, photographing birds, then drawing, sketching, and to do stylized of drawing, which should suitable for land art installation. We have had 3 groups and preparing all group prepared different web of life. This is all our installation. Leaves, worms, and birds. And all the installation were created by the groups using the method I showed with wooden sticks. Group A created installation of leaf motifs. Group B created worms, and Group C created bird. It's simple symbols like playing. It was very good free times creating days. This is the web of life come in a bird eating worm and sometimes insects that eat leaves. The leaves are food for insects and animals, including some birds. Worm helped improve soil for plants, including those that provide leaves. If one piece of the puzzle is missing or out of balance, it can affect the rest. That's why it's important to keep all parts of the web of life functioning well to keep the wheel of life spinning. So I love the nature very much, and it's very important to me to save it, and I am glad that my art method helped to form lesson for children and about biodiversity. I really appreciate it, and I feel so thankful for the organizers of this wonderful project. Good education is an investment in our best version, children's, and us, who will take even more care of nature and its protection. Thank you very much, Fasta and Aida. Her invites me in this project, and I appreciate that I part of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greta. This has been a very influential project, and nice for you to know that this has now become annual part of the Icelandic school, that they do similar project in the Icelandic Botanical Garden now 2 years in a row. But now we have to continue. Thank you so much for sharing. So you can close your share button, Greta,
Okay.
because we move quickly to Ireland, where we had our last workshop on soil.
I should something stop sharing. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So in Ireland, we kind of all came together and did a workshop on soil. They were very interesting workshops. So we were working at peat with clay and creating ink out of the soil. And then Mary Hoy made a very interesting workshop on compost. So I give the floor to Mary.
Thank you, Asta. I'll now share my screen if I can. Can you see?
Yes.
Great. Now, oh, sorry. It's, sorry, just bear with me a few minutes, a few seconds. So I'm Mary Hoy. I'm from Ireland, and I'm interested in compost, soil and farming, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist. So my big interest is in asking the question, can everyone look after our soil and be a regenerative farmer? And my thinking is that yes, everybody can through composting. So, and composting is creating soil from our food and waste. So in college, I created a circular composting system, and this is the inside installation. So as you can see, you pour compost in and compost comes out at the bottom, and that created an hourglass shape. And that spoke to that created a lot of discussion in itself. And then there was a window, I don't have a picture of it here, but it leads you out to these compost bins that are made outside. So there was an internal and external line of communication on composting and waste and anything got to do related to that. Okay, so now we come to the project with ABCDE and working with Darius. And here, so we started off our workshops with science in the lecture hall. So we looked at the science of compost, of macro decomposers, which are the little creatures that we can see that break down the compost, and mycorrhiza. So we looked at those through slides, through microscopes, and through magnifiers. So we had an invitation to transform into a different creature or a different being by dressing up in colourful clothes. And as you can see, some participants really got into it here. This might jog a few memories, all right. So the procession, we had then a procession to the compost bins. And on the journey, we were examining insects and plants with the magnifiers. So we had little buckets which were repurposed paint buckets, and we collected greens and brown organic matter to make our compost cocktails. So there's a little bit of gathering and a little bit of dancing. So we spoke about the various types of composting. We looked at soil samples. We looked at the posters that were on the lovely wall leading to the compost bay area. So we even looked at my wormery, which to some people was more popular than others, as you can see. Sorry, Patsey. So I found the wormery was of real interest to people. Some people had real experience with composting wormeries, especially in Iceland. And I learned that in Iceland, you can have wormeries in your kitchen and it's all safe. They don't come out or anything. So that was really news to me, and I've been able to spread the word since. So another aspect was that people thought that children looking after, nurturing little animals, little creatures. So it was a very valuable thing to bring along. I want people to really immerse their hands in soil. People didn't immerse as much as I wanted to, but that's perfectly fine. So one way of making that happen was to pass a little bit of soil from one person to another. So that worked well. We looked at my compost recipe in order to make the compost. So that's, I'm sure you all know about compost, but you're collecting your browns and your greens, and then you're making sure there's enough air and moisture. And we made the compost cocktails in containers, in boxes, in plastic bottles, according to the recipe. Here's a few more different containers that we used. And looking at the browns and the greens. Then we formed groups. So each went off to practice a performance together to honor compost. And the groups performed their piece or ritual for everyone then. So some people really got into it now. It was great fun, I have to say. And you just didn't know what the next group were going to come up with. This is another group. And this was another group taking on what happens during Mass in Ireland. So here people are lined up to go to Holy Communion and our fabulous priest. And then here's another group. A little bit more dancing here. And then another group made a little walkway that had little symbols. And each time you got into a symbol, you did something to express if you wanted to. So some people really expressed. This is another group, and they really were honoring their compost cocktails. So this was the real idea, that it was the bottle and you could use it as a shaker to make music when you were finished, if you wanted to. And another group. We looked for macro decomposers in the leaf mold and created our own unique decomposers out of surrounding organic materials. So there's an example of a few there. And these were very individual. They were much more expressive and exciting than I anticipated. I brought some leaflets and diagrams, and Darius and I spent time. I got more out of that than some aspects myself. And, you know, making a creature out of an old leaf like that, great. Here's a few more. Then we created mycorrhiza using threads and wool. And what fascinated me with this was each day, the next group, because it was over 3 days, it kept getting added to and added to. So it got bigger, and people came with different ideas and used different threads. And so that was exciting too. Then we finished with a human mycorrhizal meditation, where everyone connected with each other above and below the soil. So everyone lay down on the cardboard, and then we looked up into the sky, and then we came down the tree. We focused then on the tree, and then we came down branch by branch by branch by branch. And then we looked at the surface of the soil and what creatures were running around could be running around on the soil. And then we went deeper down, and we thought about the earthworm going up, collecting the humus and bringing it down, and then creating his little pathway, creating homes for other creatures. Then we had our evaluation, sometimes sitting here, and that was really kind of intimate because we were still connected with the nature around us. Sometimes because the weather wasn't so good, we had to go back to base. So we're still all colourful getting back, which is nice. So the themes included soil science, the compost, mycorrhizae, and microdecomposers. The transforming into different beings, that worked really well. And I've used it since in IMA. We've had an Earth Rising, and I, along with 2 other artists, got people to transform, and then similar to this, but different. And we ended up in IMA using, creating a carnival kind of thing. So we were all running around with instruments and all colourful again. And yeah, really good. So yeah, transforming. It's amazing if you close how people, and once they're given permission to come out of their own headspace into a new persona, new being, it's great. So then the procession worked really well as well, and collecting the ingredients, and then compost cocktails. We did a few other experiments too, but I won't go into those. The performance groups, you just never know what they're going to come up with, and great. Replicating the micro decomposers, that was very exciting too. I felt I got more out of that too. And the weaving, connecting with the yew trees, and the additions every day was great. And then the soil meditation. So my message is, make compost sexy, make it fun. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary. It was wonderful and great fun to participate. So
Okay.
in each location, we also had a conference, so which included around 100 people that came on the last day, where we discussed what we had been doing. So we had 3 symposiums like that. But a project like this would not really be successful without the teachers. And Angus is the Irish representative that is going to tell us about how he and his team has really used the experience to develop their collective efficacy, which is really the aim within the schools. Angus, please.
Thanks, Ásta. I hope you can hear me. I'll just try and share the screen now. Can we see the screen? Is it okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so I am a learning support teacher, but just to give the participants a little background on the educational system in Ireland, we don't have sort of specialist teachers in Ireland. So every primary school teacher teaches 12 subjects. So we don't have a specialist music teacher, drama teacher, or art teacher. So it's slightly different to in other countries whereby they have specialist teachers to teach, for instance, music or the arts or whatever. Other thing to note about our school is that we are all boys, and we have our class sizes roughly 27 to 30 boys in a class. So obviously that presents slightly different challenges to other schools who may have smaller numbers and mixed classes. So I suppose I'll go through some of our work that we did post the workshops. And so to start off with, first one was the theme of water. So we took the cyanotype activity that we did in Iceland and we took it home. And first of all, we went taking samples. Some of them are taken in the Botanic Gardens. Some of them are taken from around our school, and some kids brought in samples from home. And obviously, these are the mix there is, some of them are artistic, some of them are verging towards the scientific. So it was an interesting blend between the 2 subject areas there. So after that, we then started making bigger prints on rolled out wallpaper. So we put the cyanotype solution on a larger scale, worked in groups, and then we started asking the children to if you were an insect, what would you be? So that they could step into the art and engage with it on a more meaningful level than say an abstract art would be. Just to say that in our school we have kids from 4 to maybe around 12. Okay, so our children also start very young in Ireland. 4 being the minimum age for commencement in primary school. So they really enjoyed it, the cyanotype, and me as a teacher, I am really interested in print because it's a great leveler. I think because a lot of art in primary school is product based. people are always comparing their work to the, you know, the two people in the class who are really good at drawing or really good at coloring in. And with print, it's kind of like it's non-product based, and the interesting outcomes are not always deliberate, you know. So this was I really enjoyed doing the print section with the kids. Then we tried to integrate it into other curricular areas. In this case, we have maths, some tessellations in the front there, also geometry by folding over paper and getting different, you know, exposures and exposure durations due to the folds. And again, group work was to the fore as well. As I said, we've got 27 boys, so we always have to be thinking about management and how, you know, how do we manage these group activities, particularly when we're talking about water and soil and those sorts of things that can be a little bit complicated whenever you're dealing with large numbers. So the last one on water, these would be some of our very junior children in the school, around 4, maybe 5 years old, and they were doing water stenciling as yeah, as an activity. Obviously, at 4 years old, cyanotype is less of an option than if you were 10, 11, or 12.
Sorry, Angus.
Angus, have you meant to do the slides? Because I was trying to. You're always on the first slide.
Oh, I'm not going on, am I not?
No.
And how do I rectify that?
Go to slideshow at the top, Angus. See the top of your screen? Hit slideshow there.
Or you can just press the slide that you're talking about each time, because we only see the first one.
Oh. Okay, so if I go up to the top, where do I see? I don't see slides.
I also see down on the lower corner, you know, the sign where you have like the percentage of the size of it. There is like, if you press the button next to that.
Yeah. Bottom
in
right.
the lower right corner, where it says 130%. Press the slide, you know, this sign next to that.
Hold on, I'll stop sharing just for a second. I'll try again. Okay, can you see if I go through now? Can you see if I go and click the slides? Can you see me changing them now?
No changes. Yeah, no. Yes.
Okay, I'll do it this way. Sorry. Okay, so apologies for that. You can see them as I change them. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that, guys. So just to go back over some of the art that we did then, I won't give an overall commentary, but this is the group art that we did with the cyanotype. The next one is the integration into maths with some geometry, with some tessellation there as we were going on. And then, sorry, this is the picture of some of our younger members. These kids are around 4 or 5 years old. And they're doing water stenciling as part of the project, the team on water. Next, one of the brilliant things about the project was that we got great connections with the Botanic Gardens. So we did a workshop with the Botanic Gardens in which we looked at nature around us, or samples that we found in our environment, under a microscope. And this is something that we've continued to do. We've bought our own microscopes, and this is just some lichens growing on a twig that we found in our school grounds. And obviously, whenever children look at something in a microscope, it doesn't just leave them. You know, they then start seeing the world differently and asking questions like, well, I wonder what that would look like up close, or that looks interesting. And they then start to notice more things like textures and things like that, because they're thinking not just what they see with their eyes on a normal magnification, but also, you know, whenever you can see things up close. And then following on from Greta's work, this is something that we continue to do on a yearly basis. We do the with land art. We have a nice strand of cherry trees, and you generally pick it around that time when the blossoms are falling. So we do a bit of work inside of the classroom, first of all, working with clay and matchsticks, working to print flowers and leaf onto clay imprints. And then we go out and we work in groups and we create shapes. And as the blossoms fall, they become more and more full of blossoms. And obviously they are held whenever the wind blows other parts of the blossom around. And of course, being boys, they will go and get blossom and they will fill all the, between the sticks, no matter what, they'll just go and do that just for their own amusement. And then as I was saying before, connections with the Botanic Garden. This is in the Botanic Garden, and this was a land art piece that we did to celebrate St. Bridget's Day. And St. Bridget would be our second most important saint after St. Patrick, who is obviously famous around the world. But Bridget, there's a famous story about looking for land to found the monastery, and the local chieftain said, well, you can have enough as your cloak can cover. And of course, the magic happened, and St. Bridget got a large area of land and was duly given the site to build her church. So this was down at the Botanic Gardens. It was our school and another school, and that was, a public exhibition, which was brilliant for the boys to take part in, and obviously bring their own parents down later on after school hours to show them. And as well in the biodiversity, we started looking at colour. And I'll come back to it later on, but one of the main things that we have really noticed and was hugely beneficial to the school is looking at our environment in our school and looking for opportunities there to make science and art lessons. So on the left, we have the science. We did the color wheel, color combinations, complementary colors, analogous colors. And the kids went out and they, got samples of them using a color wheel as a guide. So they got color families, complementary colors. And you'd think that you'd have difficulty with the blues and the purples, but it's amazing, really. When you look hard enough, you can find so many colors out there. And then following on from that, we then got items from nature, and we did prints using some complementary color theory and other color theory whenever we were doing the gel printing. And then when in relation to soil, we did the soil ink. We also made dyes out of natural berries and other items found in the environment. And this was a very interesting but quite difficult activity to do in a whole class basis, and we found that this was easier to do in a sort of small class. So we would have done that in, say, learning support or in resource settings. And clicking on here, and then to go back on how the course affected us or affected our practice and our attitudes. This is a map that I did with some of the students, and it just shows that our school was underutilizing the external environment to a very, very strong degree, in my view. So I got the children to do a heat map. They are all familiar with heat maps due to football and various sports where they're used. So the first one on the left-hand side is where we go. Okay, so this is the large area out the back here is a tarmac area. This is their main yard where they play, and they go there every day basically. And then the hatched blocks they are obviously the school buildings, and then the blues on this map are where they rarely, if ever, go. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of blue. And then we got the children to have a look at, well, where is the nature? And you can see there very clearly that they're pretty much opposite. That out the back in their yard, which is tarmac, very little. And the areas where they have least access to are the areas that are most rich in biodiversity and in opportunities to experience and interact with nature. So ongoing work that we have currently. So we're currently, we're still in good connection with the Botanic Gardens. Recently, multiple classes were down looking at an AI art exhibition in the Botanic Gardens. We've incorporated elements from the ABCDE course into our yearly practice across class levels. We're currently doing a sensory garden. So it's a student designed sensory garden. You can see the frames that are current, that's where we currently are at with it. And I think in the bottom part of the slide there, you'll see that we're looking at it differently. Really interesting parts of our school building that were never visited before are now being visited and are now being incorporated into our practice. We've wilded an area and put a path through with lots of habitats for insects and invertebrates. And any area that we think that we can develop, we are trying to develop with, obviously, with the teaching of science and art in mind. And my last slide here of what we're currently doing is, I suppose I included this because some of these things, these three pictures with the leaves, on the blue background, the yellow and the green, these are the things that I've noticed children interacting with art in our school. And it's funny, this is in the area where there's very little nature. And as you can see, somebody has done something with a leaf there. So it's kind of giving them, trying to help their visual sense to see that, the opportunities in our school and how that might, stimulate them or might help them on a sort of visual arts journey. I think that's it from me. Yeah, so look, just to sum up, great connections with the Botanic Gardens, use of our external space, fusing art and science in our instruction. They're really, and like hopefully developing closer connections for our children with nature. They're the fundamental and key outcomes that our school has gained from participation in the course.
Thank you very much. This is a very thorough presentation of how you have incorporated your experience into your practice. But what was also very interesting, that all of the participants noted that they also found it very useful to visit each other's schools, to compare notes between countries. And I think we never do too much of that. And after each workshop, we kind of summed up our experience and made kind of links to how can we use this experience in our own practice. So we were not expecting the teachers to take our project in raw. So what I think is wonderful, that they have all made their own versions from their experience, what was really the aim. But now we have kind of gone over time, but are there any questions for our wonderful participants? Yeah, Susan?
Just one quick question for Angus, who began by saying that, you don't have specialist teachers and teachers are teaching 12 subjects. Now, I can see the impact this has had on you. How do you feel your ability to instill confidence in the other teachers? How do you think that's gone through the help of this project?
I would say it's difficult because the way it usually runs in our school, for example, we have several people who are very, very talented in visual arts and several others who are very talented in music. So I suppose I take the view that over the course of a number of years, our students get the benefit of somebody who has a particular passion for music or for art or for science or mathematics. Okay, In terms of, I lead up science in the school. So what I do now as my job, I try and incorporate these activities into our practice on an ongoing basis. Now, it's with mixed results. Currently, what I'm doing is I'm concentrating on the NQTs, which are the newly qualified teachers, because I want to instill in them the confidence to continue on. So I will obviously support them and help them with the rollout of the lessons or activities. Obviously, at the back of my mind is that I also have to make sure that they can do it independently. So that's the next test for us in our school.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are people still keeping in touch with each other then, Ásthildur? Is that still something?
Yeah, at least I keep in touch with many people, and thanks to Facebook, you kind of all got connected. What was really nice when this stretched over almost 4 years, so that it's such a nice kind of volume of time that we kind of connected, and hopefully we will kind of, because the teachers were also talking by the end of the last session, they were talking about creating connections, but maybe, I don't know how much they are in contact with each other now, kind of year later. But what I found the most important was for the teachers, like with Angus. Angus took with him 5 other teachers, and they developed collective efficacy, and that is the fundamental for cultural change within a school, is that collectively you can make a change for sustainability. It is really hard if you're working alone. So I think in a project like this, rather than offering the course to many schools to have spread it out that way, I found it a right decision afterwards that we selected 3 teachers for each workshop from each school, because then collectively they could kind of help each other. And in the theory of transformative education, we talk about the scaffolding effect. So as they were working together, they could help each other to kind of conquer kind of difficulties within the workplace. Mara?
Yeah, hello. My name is Mara, and I am from Bergamo Botanic Garden in Italy. So I represent the Botanic Garden side of such a project, which was really, really, really fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing. We would be really interested in connecting with you to maybe export and to work on similar projects. I was wondering, because of the structure of the project, you said that people from different schools went to each botanic garden to visit, and I was wondering how hard it was to cope with the curricula differences in the countries, in the 3 countries, because maybe they might be different. So how did you? Okay, thank you so much. I will write soon.
As all of the countries have in common to have sustainability as a fundamental focus in their educational systems. So by end of each day, we kind of made connections. So it was not like it was the same aiming learning outcome for everyone, but to create a setting for a classroom teacher. So the focus was to work with classroom teachers, not art teachers, to give them tools to work in a creative manner. And that way, each and every one of them in a dialogue from each place could kind of find connection and bridges towards their own curriculum. But all of those schools and all of the countries participated have in common to work with the core challenges we are all facing regarding sustainability. And I find it was also more to just get this discussion flowing and changing the way we work to rather focus on transformative learning settings where students are experimenting, and research have shown that teachers are more likely to work in a creative way if they go through that process themselves.
Okay, thank you. So it's clear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi. Any chance there'll be version 2.0 of ABCDE?
Sorry, I missed it.
Any chance that there'll be version 2.0, sort of like
Yeah,
version 2, sort of the next movie, the
I
project?
think that would be great. And I encourage you, because the participants all have become members of InSEA, and I encourage you to come to InSEA and give a workshop.
Yeah.
And it's such a wonderful, because in the InSEA conferences that take over 4 days, it doesn't have to be the one that will be in Czech this summer, but it can also be in another time or another place, because I think the deadline for sending in proposal has already passed for the summer, or is it?
We can't be definitive, but you don't know that maybe they will, because so many people want to apply or missed it. We watch the space, but
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see Mara from Italy, and Mara, maybe there's something that we would really like to expand our membership in Italy, and it would be really nice if there was some way that we could all collaborate to make that happen. So this really comes back to the point that this is such a fabulous, and I have to say, from my point of view as an observer, it was absolutely fabulous to work with the artists, the teachers, with everybody, and the scientists in this. And it would be really interesting if the participants in maybe one of the countries decided to put on like a little seminar, and it could be quite small. InSEA will help you to do that, and it could be based around this. So maybe we need to go back to Iceland or Lithuania or Ireland to do this, or maybe we could go somewhere different, maybe to Italy, to try it out there.
Yes, I have been texting while watching you to my colleagues from the Art Academy in Bergamo to think of something similar and maybe do an exchange. That would be really great.
That would be fantastic.
Mara, I encourage you to become a member of I know you didn't come through InSEA, but I encourage you highly to become member of InSEA. It's a lot of interdisciplinary possibilities through InSEA.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Any final question?
I just want to say thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed that, even though I knew little bits about it from following you both over the last couple of years. I just was very inspired. And the thing about curriculum is that no matter what your curriculum is, there's one thing that we've all got in common at the moment, and that is our planet and keeping it for the future.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have got that in common, haven't we?
And I also encourage all of you, if you come up with an idea to apply for an interdisciplinary project or where art plays a vital role, is to include InSEA in the application. InSEA is a very recognized institution, or kind of collaboration, or what would we call it? Institution? Oh, well,
an organization.
Yeah, organization and a network, and it really, I think, puts a kind of a quality stamp on your application if you're doing it in collaboration with InSEA.
Can I just say that it was great to have Angus here today, just as a teacher, to tell us about what he's done in his school, not just because he's Irish, but I do know that, and Ásthildur does know that fabulous work has been done in Lithuania and in Iceland in the schools as well. And some of that is available on the website. Like, there's great videos that were done. And what I think for me is most heartening is that you know, this was a fabulous project to be involved in. Much, you know, the main thanks to Ásta, because she's the one behind it all. But it was great to see that it actually worked, that it was brought back into the classroom, and that maybe those little people that we saw in Angus's videos, a little small, you know, child of 4, you know, there's hope for our generation if they're taught properly, if they find it fun and it becomes part of what they're doing every day. So that's the most important thing, that maybe they will make a difference. And I mean that sincerely. So it's so well done to the teachers of all levels, those in the school, those at university, the scientists, the artists, and mostly to Ásta.
And I would like to thank all of you that participated in today, and I encourage you to pass it on, what we have been doing, and pass on so you can see in the chat our webpage. So please use it, and I think Susan already put the link to the webpage. It is abcde.reykjavik.com.is.
Great.
So I think we just say goodbye for now and have a happy holidays. And I know all of us will have a lot of papers to go over now before we will